Well, the old coot's kind of out looking for wells and springs today. Thought maybe I'd take a little walk around, a couple of short hikes from Weaver's Needle Overlook over to Hackberry Spring, and then maybe if I've got time on over to Willow Canyon Well. It's a developed spring. It's usually dry this time of year, but Hackberry's usually got water in it. Take a look over there, maybe talk a little bit, take a look at what's wandering around. There may be people out today around this area. This is pretty popular. Being the old coot that I am, I kind of don't like to take Weaver's Needle instead of a First Water trailhead. That's a fee area over First Water. I'm going to take off here. An old saguaro that's come down. You can see its ribs, the wooden things that kind of give it some support and rigidity. The birds build nests in these guys. The woodpeckers will peck a hole in it and then build a nest in it. And if you can see them, the inside heals up over top of them and leaves something called a saguaro boot. One of them there. It'll be hard as wood, but it's hollow inside. I'm walking up on a little bit up off the wash now. It's starting to get a little too hard on my knees walking in that loose dirt. Well, I'm up on a high point right now, and I think I can see the change in the watersheds here. To the right goes down to the Willow Springs drainage. Willow Springs drainage, but over top of this little saddle here, it looks to me like it's going to head down to First Water Creek. So I'm going to break over top of this little ridge top here and see if I can find a good way down to the First Water Canyon. Well, I've been trudging across washes and ridge tops here for about 20 minutes. This really wasn't as easy a way down as I thought it was going to be, but it's alright. It's been kind of pretty along the way. It's rough going because of all this broken up volcanic rock under your feet, chewing my feet to pieces. But at any rate, it's pretty country. There's Superstition there. As I said, it's a big volcanic plug. That's the volcanic material that was left inside the volcano while the rest of it eroded away. That cliff over there is one of the compacted dust layers I was talking about. That's pretty common around this area. There's Weaver's Needle back in the background. I'm going to try to make my way over this next little saddle, and hopefully I'll be getting a little closer to where I want to be. Kind of coming into some ranching artifacts now. The trail crosses another horse trail here and goes through a gate. Well, what used to be a gate, it's all tied back now. But the trail, I think the Hackberry Spring goes along to the left there. The fence goes on up over the ridge. Man, I can't believe the balls these guys used to have when they built these fences. It must have been tough work. It's more than buttes. This other end of the trail, I'm just going to walk here a little bit to where I can look over the edge. I'm pretty sure it goes down into another little canyon down there. That if I remember right, it's a pretty little canyon. It has some pretty steep walls. At any rate, that's one way. That probably goes back to First Water trailhead. First Water is over around where that green stuff is. It's named after some big potholes over there. We're going to head this direction though. I'm going to talk to you later. Well, here we are, First Water Creek. Not really a creek in Ohio terms, maybe. Right now, it's just a touch dry. You know, really, I don't know that I've ever seen water in it. I'm sure it gets water when there's a storm, something like that, when there's a lot of water flowing, but or at least when it's wet. You can see, pretty rugged looking canyon cut out of this day side here, or whatever it is. Cuts on down the canyon. It goes through a really steep canyon farther down too when you get closer to Canyon Lake. I'm going to walk on over to the to the spring. It's pretty rough going in here. These boulders are all round and just about right to be a crappy walk. Getting pretty close to the spring. As you can see, it's a wet area down in here. I don't know whether you can hear them, but there's birds singing. There always is birds down here. Spooked me a little bit. I thought I heard something behind me. Just my water bottles rattling around. Campsites down here. It's a pretty popular area. Of course, nobody else is stupid enough to be out this time of year. Luckily. Hope nobody's insulted if they overhear me. I'll walk along here a little bit. I have to make my way down. I'm going to shut this off for a piece. Well, this is the area where the spring's at. See the cliff up there over my head. The spring kind of comes out of that cliff, out of the bottom. Nice and shady back here, lots of birds. It's a really nice place. I'm going to walk up to the spring. May not be up here very long. It's usually pretty buggy if there's any water at all up here. You can see it's a developed spring. The ranchers developed it, poured some concrete pits to hold the water, and kind of dammed up a little bit of the spring, and rammed a pipe down there to actually keep the water coming. There's a bunch of toads down there on the ground if you can see them. Water, moss. I don't know whether you can see the water dripping out of the pipe or not, but it's feeding this little stream that used to go down to a concrete pond. Lots of bees coming in, touching down the water. As you can see, there's the water back in there. There's a hole cut back into the cliff to develop the spring. Lots of water in it. It looks pretty good. Looks clear and cool. I can see the pipe rammed back into the rock farther. The rock looks pretty porous. It's like almost a breccia all cemented together. I can see individual rocks in it. It's no wonder that the water comes out. It seems to be a whole layer here of really coarse breccia. Well, I guess I wouldn't say coarse breccia, but it's about fist-sized pieces, and they're all cemented together somehow, probably by the volcanic ash. It's always amazing to me to find these natural water seeps around here in the middle of the desert. It's probably a good dry 80 back in here. It feels like 70, but it's not really that cool, but it's really nice. If you walk outside the shadow ring here, it's about probably 95 or 100. This was cattle country. I think this was the Bark Ranch back in here. Across the fence, back a piece. They kind of separated it off. I have a feeling it was from the old ranch. It was pretty old. Well, you remember the gate we passed before. I'm going to walk up across the creek here into a little shady area. Sit down for a while, listen to the birds. Okay, Buck, I'm going to span over here, and I'm going to show you why I bitch about all those balloons turned loose. Can you see that dang thing down there? It's been a pink balloon. I don't know what it's got on it. I may try to pull it out of there just to get rid of it here in a minute. Those damn things float all over and they end up right in front of me. I think I'm out somewhere remote. Next thing you know, I'm stumbling over a damn balloon. Over there in the distance is the trail up to Garden Valley. It's up into the wilderness area. There's a pretty nice loop that goes down through from First Water down to Hackberry Spring and then back up to Garden Valley, and then circles back around to First Water. I'm not really there. I'm kind of cutting back cross country again to get back to the truck. Well, There's the canyon back behind that big rock over there, and down about 500, probably a couple hundred feet, is Hackberry Canyon. I've come up this side of the canyon. I'm pretty much over to the saddle. Won't be very much longer. That's it, just up there, a few feet up there. Up just above the top of it, you can kind of see Superstition Mountain peeking up. Here's one of the places where the coyotes hold their nightly meetings. These places, just about every saddle I ever ran into had a smoothed out place with a bunch of coyote scat all over it. It looks like they look for these spots and kind of congregate there. It's a pretty view from here, that's for sure. Well, on another saddle again. There's my shortcut down below there. As usual, it didn't turn out to be much of a shortcut. There's the cliffs over there overhanging Hackberry Spring. Up in that way, that's First Water, up there where the First Water Ranch was. Then, on along down there is the trail I took to get down there the first time. It looks to me like, after all that cutting up across the side of the mountain and dragging my ass through brush, I'm going to be at the same place that I was when I started down, meaning on top of the horse trail. Way over there in the distance is the First Water parking lot where the horse people park their trailers. They usually come in from the north down to the south and then cut that trail. I'm heading north to get to the other parking lot up at the Weaver's Needle Lookout. I've still got a good piece to go. More rugged country. Again, mostly volcanic. That stripe running across the hills, that volcanic rock stripe. Well, the compressed volcanic dust, anyhow. It runs about the same level all the way across the place. I'm going to make a resolution today. Well, maybe two. One, to maybe think about the next time I try to take a shortcut and think about maybe doing something else. But the next time I'm sitting around in my air-conditioned office feeling sorry for myself, I'm going to think about the guy that had to build this danged fence here. This barbed wire fence stretches about as far as I can see over every one of these dry, hot, rocky hills. Whoever in the world got that job must have been done something awfully horribly to his boss. I don't know what he could have ever done, but man, it must have been something. Well, looks to me like I'm going to have to start giving up altitude. There's another big canyon right there that cuts through this ridge I've been walking along. So I'm going to start cutting down through here, down that little ridge out there, down into the canyon, and walk the canyon back out. I'm pretty sure that's the Little Spring Canyon range. So I'm heading on down. Well, here's the problem with trying to walk the washers. You never know when you're going to come around a corner and it drops down off the face of the earth. You can see it's a pretty good drop from here. I'm going to try to walk around the edges of it and see if I can find a game trail and just follow it. Hopefully it'll give me a way around. Well, I'm finally back. Right over there is the truck. Over across the road past those two little umbrella tops is Government Wells and the windmill over there. There's some working gold mines over along those ridges. And I noticed a stake back there, back behind me. Looks like somebody's got a mineral claim. At any rate, I'm glad to be back. I need to drink water and sit around with my feet in the pool all the rest of the day. Maybe have me a bud.